It's 6 o'clock. Welcome to ELN Radio. Here are the stories we're following today across the globe.
The Nigerian terror group Boko Haram reportedly struck again, killing more than 300 people just a month after the group kidnapped more than 260 schoolgirls. According to reports, militants from the group dressed in military attire fired rockets and bombs and shot into crowds of people at a marketplace. The United States and England have both offered to help the Nigerian government find the girls who were kidnapped last month.
After more than 3 years of fighting, a truce between the Syrian government and the rebel fighters in the city of Homs went into effect today. The treaty was signed after the Syrian government agreed to release more than 90 prisoners. Under the treaty, the rebel fighters will withdraw from the city without fear of retaliation from the government and allow the safe passage of food and medical supplies to the city. More than 2,500 people are thought to be trapped in Homs, where heavy fighting has taken place since 2012.
It's now 6:01 p.m. Welcome to ELN Radio's last show of the semester. I'm Gary Grumbach.
And I'm Carly Hildyard. The first week of May means Elon Local News' staff is transitioning. Gary and I will be saying goodbye as ELN Radio's executive producers after this show. But don't worry, we're leaving you in good hands. With us in the studio are your new executive producers for the 2014-2015 school year, Bella Mazzola and Brennan McGovern.
Hey guys, I'm Bella. I can't wait to get started, and I'm so lucky to be the new executive producer for ELN.
I'm Brennan. I'm also super excited to be the new EP and can't wait to keep working on this great program.
Thank you guys. Can't wait till you guys get started. Now here's what's coming up in the show. Some students get bored with dining hall selections, but for others, their choices are even more limited.
And if you weren't one of the thousands of students to roll in the mud this weekend, we have a special guest with us in the studio to give you a first-hand recap.
The end of the year is approaching fast. We'll tell you the best ways to prepare wherever you're moving this summer.
All this and more tonight on ELN Radio.
Continuing with our coverage of international news, it was a violent day in Ukraine. Officials say 30 heavily armed militants were killed in the recent assault on the rebel stronghold of Sloyansk. This military has launched its biggest offensive yet to put down a pro-Russia uprising. Ukraine's interior minister says there is heavy fighting near the eastern town of Sloyansk between Syrian security forces and pro-Russia militants. This follows a turbulent weekend in the southern city of Odessa. Dozens lost their lives in clashes between pro- and anti-Russian groups.
And as the crisis overseas continues each day, some Elon students are following the story more closely. Our Brandon Joyner has that story.
In the country's east, the Ukraine...
As the crisis in Ukraine continues, one Elon student is keeping up with the unrest. Elon Jr. Chris Zhao says he has tried understanding all of the problems going on in the country.
Is trying to invade the Ukraine, essentially taking control of their military and everything like that, especially since the president had just been removed from his position because of the social and media unrest that's going on right now. So a lot of it has to deal with what the United States is doing in response to Russia trying to take control of the Ukraine. What political and social interests does Russia actually have?
Possible world war coming to the scene, Zhao says there must be actions taken to lighten the tension between Russia and Ukraine.
I think that in order for the U.S. especially to move forward in this situation, we really need to kind of address the situation that's going on with Russia and the Ukraine. And then I know there's been talks about increasing economic sanctions against Russia for trying to keep up the civil unrest within.
Many students use news sites such as CNN and social media like Twitter to get up-to-the-minute information about the crisis in the Ukraine. Zhao does feel that the U.S. has to intervene in this international situation due to the threat it has on foreign affairs.
To actually cause a huge issue because of the political unrest that's going on in there. They're lacking a president right now. There's a lot of different things going on in there itself. And if we allow Russia to essentially go in and just take control as far as their military and as far as their political force, then I feel as though we don't have a voice in that, then it does have the potential to create more issues.
Childs admits that the future should be kept in mind when dealing with the political unrest going on in the Ukraine.
I guess. Look currently in Ukraine. So I think we need to really think about what we're doing as far as moving forward. I think we're trying to attack it from an outside view, try to make sure that Russia's not going in there just causing issues. But I think we need to look at the long-term impacts of whatever we do as far as moving forward.
Brandon Joyner, Elon, Local News.
I thought it was fine because, every professor I've had has given us.
And as the situation continues, the U.S. has said it promises to keep a close eye on the problems going on between Russia and the Ukraine.
Coming back to the states, yesterday North Carolina residents voted in the primary elections for a number of county and statewide seats across North Carolina. Here are some of the results. Tom Tillis will be the Republican Party's nominee for the U.S. Senate and will challenge incumbent Democrat Kay Hagan in November. Tillis received 45% of the party's vote. Hagan easily won her side of the ticket yesterday with more than 75% of the vote.
Alamance County lies in the state's 6th district, whose House of Representatives seat will be decided by a runoff. Republican Phil Berger Jr. got the most votes last night, but it still wasn't enough. Only 34% of the vote went to Berger, short of the necessary 40% needed to clinch the nomination. The runoff between Berger and Mark Walker, who received 25%, will take place on July 15th. The winner will face Democrat nominee Laura Field, who beat out opponent Bruce Davis by more than 10%.
One of the most talked about races of the night occurred in North Carolina's 2nd Congressional District, where American Idol star turned politician Clay Aiken ran for a seat in the House. It's still too close to call, but early returns show that Aiken is just over 300 votes ahead of second-place Democrat Keith Crisco. If Aiken does end up winning, he would be able to avoid a runoff and take on incumbent nominee Renee Elmers in November.
The general election is November 4th. Elon Local News will provide full coverage all fall leading up to Election Day. Follow Elon Local News on Twitter for all the latest news and election information.
But last night's primaries weren't without problems. Shortly after the polls closed at 7:30 p.m., the Board of Elections website showed that almost all of the state's more than 1,600 precincts votes had already been counted, but only early and absentee ballots were actually tallied. The problems continued throughout the night, but were resolved by this morning.
We now have an update on the sophomore Elon student who was hit by a car on Haggard Avenue Monday when she was riding her bike across the street around 8 in the morning. She told Elon Local News that she received a mild concussion and 7 stitches above her eyebrow from the collision, and she won't be in class for the rest of the week. She says she was released from the hospital around 1 p.m. yesterday. She also said the health center evaluated her eyesight, concentration, and brain activity, and she's been cleared to take her final exams next week. Next, it's a story that's made its way from Elon to national news. Elon Local News first told you this week about an Elon professor who was fired in February for inappropriate text to a student. In case you missed it, our Courtney Davis brings you the full story.
I thought it was fine because, every professor I've had has given us their number.
Junior Amy DeNeno was a student in Intro to the New Testament last fall. She says text messages she received from her religious studies professor, Hans Arneson, started out friendly about class assignments.
He was just a really chill professor and was pretty lenient in things.
But the text soon turned inappropriate.
He's like, my boss would probably frown on me loving beer with a student, especially a confident blonde woman. I had fun.
DeNeno says she responded to his text messages to be polite, but wasn't sure how to handle the situation.
I didn't know how to react because the way he was talking to me is like the way any guy who was flirting with me in general would talk to me.
As the text messages continued, DeNeno says going to class became uncomfortable.
I would skip classes. I would make excuses for why I couldn't go. And just like the thought of going to class would just make me cringe.
DeNeno shared with us the text she received, some of which were too sexually graphic to air. One text read, quote, "I wanted to duck into a room with you for a few minutes when you left the room for a second. Just 5 minutes to taste your lips and tease a little," end quote. Another text read, quote, "Have you come over tonight instead of taking the final," end quote. DeNeno wasn't the only student receiving texts.
For it to be multiple girls from different semesters and for there to be a pattern that I'm recognizing here from all of their stories, I got really pissed.
One student we spoke with wanted to remain anonymous. She said she received this text from Arneson, which says, quote, "You could have joined me in my daily after-class shot in my office," end quote. DeNeno says once she showed the text to university officials in February, the university took quick action. Now she wishes she would have spoken earlier.
If I could change everything, I probably would have told him that drink did make me feel uncomfortable. I probably would have told him to just kind of chill out, stop talking to me like that.
Elon Local News has continued to call Arneson, but he said he did not have time to comment and has since not answered the phone. This story has been picked up by sites like BuzzFeed and Huffington Post, but for the most up-to-date information on this story, check out elonlocalnews.com. And before we move on, I want to apologize for an error earlier in the show. We said that the student hit by a car on Monday was a sophomore Elon student, but she is actually a freshman.
So next on ELN Radio, we've got the weather forecast for your last full week of classes. Stick with us.
WSOE is proud to have Dunkin' Donuts as a sponsor. Donuts and coffee all day long, located at 2526 South Church Street. More information at dunkindonuts.com. Dunkin' Donuts.
WSOE is sponsored by NC Jelly Donuts, serving donuts where you pick the filling. Located on 3260 South Church Street. NC Jelly Donuts.
Hey guys, tune in to A Little Comfort with Noelle and Abby, Fridays from noon to 1. It's great music to study or relax to after a long week, so be sure to tune in for A Little Comfort.
Hey guys, this is Joe Book, and I'm begging you to be happy. The best way to do that is to listen to my show, A Cup of Joe, on Fridays from 10 to midnight on WSOE 89.3.
Hey, it's Ben.
And Danny, do y'all know what the Oracle of Delphi is?
Because we sure don't.
So join us as we try to figure it out on Tuesdays from 5 to 6, listening to a new theme every week.
From country to techno, we'll be playing Luke Bryan's Disclosure. And only we can foresee your future on WSOE 89.3.
Have you ever heard of a turtle that could fly? Have you ever seen a purple flamingo? What about a platypus? I mean, just a regular platypus. What do they even look like? Here's one. Ever heard of Christian rap? Now that is one thing I have heard of. Praise Beats every Friday from 11 a.m. to noon. I'm Jimmy James Stevenson, and I'll be repping Christ on the radio waves by playing some Christian rap tunes and discussing how the messages can directly affect you. Tune in to hear from the Word of God midweek on WSOE 89.3, the only alternative.
This is Chris Tarpley with Peace, Love, and Music. I'll be filling your ears with music ranging from jazz to neo-soul. Check me out on Mondays, 2 to 3, on WSOE 89.3, Elon Burlington.
Welcome back to ELN Radio. It's been a beautiful week so far. Our Justin Beagle is here with what we can expect for next week's weather.
Thanks, Gary. Today started out cloudy and humid, but it cleared up with a high of 81 and a low of 60. The clouds might come back tonight and humidity levels will be on the rise. Hopefully the start of the weekend will bring us some consistent sunshine. Let's take a look at your Phoenix 5-day forecast. It looks like tomorrow will really feel like summer. We'll have mostly sunny skies and a high of 90 degrees and a low of 61. Friday will be partly cloudy, hitting a high of 89 and a low of 64. Saturday's going to cool off quite a bit. We can expect to see a high of 78 and a low of 62, and it should be cloudy all day. Sunday we'll see more sunshine with a high of 83 and a low of 62. And to start off your last week of classes, next Monday will be partly cloudy with a high of 85 and a low of 63. So it looks like the nicest day we will see this week will be on Friday, unless you're a fan of 90-degree weather. Be sure to celebrate the start of the weekend by getting outside to enjoy the warm temps. With your Phoenix 5-day forecast, I'm Justin Beagle.
A new addition to Elon Dining this semester caters to students with dietary restrictions. Our Sky Cowan spoke with some students who think there's still room for improvement.
On weekdays from 12 to 2, Lakeside Dining Hall is bustling with students fueling up on food to get them through the day. But for students like sophomore Shenandoah Lucero Keniston, finding food to eat can sometimes be difficult.
I was faint and dizzy all the time and stuff because I was really busy and I wasn't able to get the right nutrients because the dining halls just weren't catering to that.
Keniston has been a vegetarian for 7 years and became a vegan last August. She chose to do so because of her belief that consuming no animal products is the best way to contribute to sustaining the environment. But Keniston says that being a vegan has not been easy. Because I'm vegan, I need to be really careful that I'm getting all the right proteins and amino acids so that I don't pass out or become deficient. There was a time over winter term when I got really sick because I wasn't getting the right nutrients in my diet. Keniston has an all-access basic meal plan that only allows her to eat in the 3 dining halls offered at Elon. But a new option on campus has helped her a lot.
It was really hard first semester, but second semester with the opening of Green World, it got a lot better.
Green World in upstairs colonnades has all vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options. University dietitian Kelly McGowan says that since its opening in February, Green World has gotten positive feedback.
It's been a really, really popular go-to, not just for those with food allergies and food preferences, but for everyone. Because overall they have really, really healthy options.
Sophomore Courtney Veridi is allergic to wheat and has been gluten-free for 8 years. She says that finding food to eat at Elon was a challenge at first.
Freshman year, it was really, really challenging to find food to eat on campus. I had All Access Basic, so I didn't have +7, so I could only eat in the dining halls. And nothing was labeled of what it had in it. There was no ingredient list anywhere, so I really had to guess what I could eat, which was not a good system.
Veridi was allowed to switch to a 300 block plan this year because she had enough credits to qualify as an academic junior, while most sophomores who live on campus are required to have the all-access plan. But Keniston did not have that option.
I tried to get them to let me lower the meal plan to 300 block, but they wouldn't allow me to do so, even though I have dietary restrictions, because technically it's not an allergy.
And Keniston says that when Green World is not open, which is breakfast and on weekends, she struggles with getting the food that she needs.
On days when it's not open, I end up spending a lot of money to make sure that I'm getting the right food for my diet, so I end up feeding myself a lot out of my own pocket money on the weekends.
And although she is happy with the addition of Green Worlds, Keniston says that she wishes there were more options for vegans at all dining halls.
Oh, I get sick of the food here all the time. And I really try not to be picky because I understand it's university and they're doing their best, but I would definitely get bored with the food.
Evan Maselli, another gluten-free student, agrees that there could be more options.
I think that they could maybe work on diversifying their gluten-free options, especially in the dining halls, because I feel like a lot of times in Lakeside it's going to be the same thing. It's always going to be some type of meat and then veggies and rice, maybe.
McGowan says that she wants students to know she is there to help solve these problems.
I mean, I'm always here for guidance. So if a student feels like they're not getting enough nutrients, or they feel like they're not getting enough food, or they feel like, there's not enough offerings, I'm obviously here to help them with that.
As rising juniors, Veridi, Maselli, and Keniston all plan on not being on a meal plan next year so they can buy their own groceries and cook at home. Sky Cowan's Elon Local News.
Elon Dining says that if students are looking for specific options in the dining halls, they can put in a request with Aramark.
Next, mud, music, and technology. We'll have more after the break. You're listening to ELN Radio on 89.3 WSOE.
Having that 3:30 feeling? Tune into WSOE 89.3 Elon Burlington for Cup of Tea.
Every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m., Amy and Nicole play the best sampling of British music this side of the Atlantic. Be sure to tell all your mates.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to WSOE 89.3, and this is The Grind with Mackie Mac. Thursday nights from 10 to midnight.
WSOE is supported by Taza Indian Bistro, serving Indian cuisine for lunch buffet and dinner, located on 579 Huffman Mill Road in Burlington. More information at tazabistro.com. It's Taza Indian Bistro.
Hello there, and welcome to Jurassic Park. Yeah, you heard right. I'm Wilson Jacobs, and I'll be your tour guide every Wednesday, 3 to 4 p.m. through my station, Jurassic Park. That means the best hip-hop, the best R&B, the best. Remember, this is your ticket in, so don't forget to tune in Wednesdays from 3 to 4 p.m. I'm Wilson Jacobs signing off on WSOE 89.3, the only alternative.
Tune in for Blue Sky Lightning, one of WSOE's longest-running broadcasts. With 3.5 years of experience under my belt, you know it's going to be a good time. So if you haven't tuned in before, make sure you tune in this semester, because we're going to be having a lot of fun. Blue Sky Lightning airs every Monday from 5 to 6, right here at WSOE 89.3, the only alternative. Hooray for Monday.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to WSOE 89.3, and this is The Grind
with Mackie Mac.
Thursday nights from 10 to midnight.
Welcome back to ELN Radio. Every week, many artists release new music on Tuesdays. Our Brian Mazursky now brings us this week's music review.
From an indie songstress who surpasses her fans' expectations, Elements is the latest album from Kina Grannis. The new album features her previously released single, Dear River. Focusing on family, life, experiences, hopes and dreams, love and loss, Grannis creates a seemingly captivating and personal connection with the listener.
Anyone can keep up with you.
All right, I'm going to ask you, what do you think?
It almost sounds like Lana Del Rey.
I really like it. You can actually tell what she's saying, and it's mellow and sort of sweet.
What do you think of the mood?
I like it, man. It's groovy. I like them drums. And she was riding it pretty well.
She has a great voice. Has a very hypnotic nature to it.
25 years into her career, Sarah McLachlan has released her Shine On album. Sarah McLachlan, is she still relevant to college students?
I'm going to go ahead and be honest and say I have absolutely no idea who that is.
Sarah McLachlan.
I don't know.
I feel like she's not bringing anything new because to me it sounded like every other Sarah McLachlan song.
I don't know. I just think it sounds like a lot of noise sort of synthesized together. But I really like the song. It was just very smooth, a little jazzy.
Rounding out our highlights for new music this week is the 22-year-old Grammy-nominated rising star Hunter Hayes. The country pop songwriter and performer released Storyline yesterday.
It's our love and it's our life. Right or wrong, we'll write our own storyline.
Okay, so there's a sample of Storyline by Hunter Hayes. What are your thoughts?
I like it. I think it's fine. I like the beat. I still think it's a little slow.
He doesn't seem all that original whatsoever. It's like Taylor Swift. He's the male version of Taylor Swift to me.
Me not being a personal country music fan, it's not my taste, but being a music major, I can say that it's fairly well made. He has a good voice.
Finally, the king of pop can never leave us. We can expect the release of Michael Jackson's second collection of previously unreleased posthumous material, Escape, next week. And for this edition of New Music Wednesday, I'm Brian Mazursky for ELN Radio.
And for music here on Elon's campus, the annual spring concert is coming up this Friday. You can see B.O.B. and the Chainsmokers at 6:30 p.m. from the In-Goal parking lot next to Rhodes Stadium. There will also be a guest performance by Limelight Records artist Kid Cass. Students can buy tickets from the Student Union Board-sponsored event in the sub-office or online for $20. Tickets for non-Elon students are $30. People who are 21 and up can buy $2 beers at the beer garden throughout the show. And as a bonus, there will be free food.
Sticking with the social scene, many Elon students attended Festivus this weekend. It's an annual mud party put on by an independent group of students. And this particular Mud Fest was special. Festivus celebrated its 10th anniversary this year. And with us in the studio, we have Vice President and Commissioner of the Festivus Committee, Kyle Lynch, to give us a recap. Thanks for joining us, Kyle.
Hi, how are you?
So, in a couple sentences, could you tell us what happened at Festivus this weekend?
This year's Festivus was pretty crazy. It was the 10th anniversary, so it was bigger than ever. We had the most people, the most mud, most pig, and overall as a day, it was just awesome. Everyone had a great time.
So Festivus has come and gone. What does the area look like now?
Now it's looking pretty bad. The mud's still there. It was filled with cups and T-shirts and socks, and we had to go and pull that all out. We filled up about 6 garbage cans full of just shoes and shirts. And luckily this year we had some extra money, so that's going towards landscapers, and they're going to go and resod it and put down seed and everything, so that really helps us out a lot.
Now, Festivus takes place in the bottom of Sheridan, which is very close to people's homes. Did you get any reactions from the people who lived near where Festivus happened?
Most people are pretty supportive. They know they moved their cars up the hill. They know it's probably going to get a little messy. And we tried to go down and hose down their apartments, but there were some railings that were broken and some broken glass down there that some kids weren't very happy about, but sorry about that.
So anything unexpected come out of Festivus, both negative or positive?
Positive was we had a lot of people. We were thinking it was probably over 2,000 at some points throughout the day. And that was more than we were expecting, and that was definitely the biggest of all time. But overall, for that many kids, that much mud and craziness, there were some injuries, but nothing really that bad. No one got in that much trouble, so it was pretty successful.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Really appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up next, we have the latest in sports after the break. Stick with us on 89.3 WSOE, Elon, Burlington.
Tune in to WSOE on Sunday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. to listen to Cat Call Radio with your host, DJ Cat, where quality music is a constant and a good morning is guaranteed. So share some of your Sunday morning with Cat Call Radio. You're in for a treat.
You got your whole life.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so pull up your beach chair
and get ready for the hottest station on the air. Join us for an hour of alternative music with DJ DP, Jenny from the Block, and Moose, Fridays at 5 p.m. This is WSOE 89.3 FM, the only alternative.
Five Strings Bottled Water is a sponsor of WSOE. Water coolers and water available for homes, businesses, and students. Five Springs Bottled Water can be reached at 336-584-8822. Five Springs Bottled Water.
I want you.
Hey guys, this is Rachel McGovern for Wednesdays with Waldo. And if you want to be able to find me, you should listen to WSOE on Wednesdays at noon.
Join Nick Atz and Will Lee in the Jazz Corner for a relaxing, almost sensuous night of jazzy tones. Thursday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. From classic to modern, kick back and feel way classier than you really are. Here on WSOE 89.3, the only alternative.
WSOE is sponsored by Anna Maria's Pizzeria, serving pizza and Italian cuisine located at 961 Burlington Avenue. Delivery is available at 336-449-4491. Anna Maria's Pizzeria.
The end of the school year brings tears, reminiscing, and lots of cardboard boxes. Our Katie Merrigy looked into the best places to store your stuff for the summer.
With exams just a little more than a week away, many students will be packing up, shipping off, and heading home. Now, not everyone can haul all of their clothes, furniture, and other belongings home as they begin that road trip or head to the airport. So, check out storage facilities in the area and do your research for the best price. In a college town like Elon, many have wait lists, so go and get on one now if you can. The closest center nearby is Elon Self-Storage on West Haggard. Next, be resourceful. See if you can share a space with a friend, splitting the cost. Or store some of your things in friends' homes or apartments if they'll be around for the summer and live nearby. And finally, start selling. Host a yard sale, post on social media, or even start a spreadsheet with items for sale and their prices, allowing friends to sign up for things they'd like to buy. This way, you can unload some unwanted items and make a little walking around money. Looking out for a college consumer, I'm Katie Merrigy.
Now it's time for this week's sports update with Jacob LaPlante.
Good evening, I'm Jacob LaPlante with This Week in Sports. Happening right now, Elon baseball is squaring off in their last regular season home game of the season against the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And on Friday, the baseball team will travel to Furman for their last Southern Conference series of the season. Also on Friday, the women's tennis team has a match in the first round of the NCAA tournament at the University of Georgia. Match time is set for 4 o'clock. And finally, on Saturday, the men's tennis team will also play in their NCAA tournament first round matchup versus Tennessee in Durham. Start time is to be determined. For scores and updates, be sure to follow ELN Sports on Twitter at ELN Sports and tune in next Monday at 6 o'clock for highlights of this week's matchups. For ELN Sports, I'm Jacob LaPlante.
Well, that's all for ELN Radio this year. But you don't have to wait until next fall for the news that matters to you. Check out elonlocalnews.com tomorrow for our weekly web exclusive. And tune in Monday at 6 p.m. on ESTV Channel 5 for Elon Local News' last show of the year.
For all of us here at ELN Radio, we want to thank our listeners for your support and a wonderful year.
We'd also like to thank our staff for their hard work in helping us transform the show in only its second year on air. We want to give a special thanks to our directors, Mac White and Alana Spiegel, for their dedication to the show, and to WSOE for our continued student media partnership.
Have a great week, Elon. We'll see you next year.